Hey, how's it going? Bryce here. And in today's video, it's a little different. So I just wanted to give you a quick intro about what I've got for you here. So recently I held a training online for business owners who want to sell more of their digital products and services using Facebook ads. So what's coming right up after this is that presentation. It was done online, so it's kind of a pretty typical webinar slide deck. But what we talked about is how can you put in systems in place so that you can sell your digital products and services on a daily basis without having to do product launches, because a lot of the people that we work with, they're doing product launch after product launch after product launch, trying to get their products out there. And what I really advocate and what I think is a better way of doing business is running evergreen funnels to sell your digital products and services. So what this training is, it's about 45 minutes long, and we go right into how we set up these funnels and run ad campaigns to put $1 in and get a customer back out on a daily basis. So right after this clip, I will send you that video. It's about a minute of me trying to make sure the audio is working, and then we dive right into the content. I promise this is not one of those 45-minute fluffy webinars where we're talking about me and my history for the whole time. That's not this at all. So this dives right into some good content, and what it's going to show you is the foundation that you need to understand for how these ad campaigns work. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Can you guys hear me all right? Someone type in the chat if this thing is working. Yes. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it. Cool. Well, I hope everyone is doing good, and thanks for joining me today. Excited to jump into this with y'all. All right. Sweet, you guys. Here's what I got. What's up, everybody? I'm Bryce. Thanks for coming to join today. I'm excited to run through this with you guys. So what I got here is a presentation on Facebook stuff and how we sell digital products. It's probably going to take like 40 minutes, and then I've saved some time at the end for any questions that anybody has. So if you have any questions while you go through this, please just write them down, and I'd love to answer them at the end. And I tried to get everybody's questions from the thread from the DC into this presentation, but I'm sure there will be other ones. So let's go ahead and dive in. So you guys, when I was putting this together last week, I was doing the math, and on April 16th, I sold 172 digital products online. We registered 401 people for online webinars, and we generated 15 calls for sales team for high ticket products. So we spent $3,867 on ads on that day. And then we made $8,507 back that exact same day. And that did not include back-end future purchases, monthly membership rebills, high ticket closes with the sales team, email follow-ups, or the lifetime value of customers. That was just our immediate return from what we spent that day. And these products ranged anywhere from $499 to $2,000. So this is what we've figured out a system how to do, is put money into the ad platform and get customers back out and get and be profitable while we do that. And the way we did all of that was really just by filling this little box right here with the right content to get people to take action. So right out the gate, I think this is one of the biggest mind shifts that a lot of business owners and marketers need to make to be successful with Facebook ads. Because I hear people say all the time, like, Facebook ads didn't work for me. And that's like saying that, a hammer doesn't put nails in straight, or a drill doesn't put screws in the right place, right? Facebook ads are a tool. It's a vehicle to get your message in front of the right people. And it's our job to figure out how to use this tool correctly so we can get the right message in front of the right person in a compelling way that gets them to take action. And so what we're going to be going over here over the next 40 minutes is kind of answering this question together of how can you create winning ad campaigns to create a consistent stream of sales to grow your business. Let's figure out how this tool works and how we can work with it so that what you can do is invest $1 in and get back $2 or $3 or $4 and have a new customer for your business. Because that's the big part here, is like, we're putting $1 in, we're getting a customer back out. You guys, fortunes have been made by people who have figured out how to put $1 in and get a customer back out in the last couple of years. Like, this technology isn't that old. Facebook ads started in 2007, but so we're, I really think, advertising is still very much like the Wild West. we're trying to figure this out together, but this can go really well when you can figure out how to put a dollar in and get customers out. Just 10 seconds about me so you kind of know where I come from with all of this is, I run a small team where we run Facebook and Google ads. In the last 2 years, we've managed over $1 million on paid ads. We've worked with over 60 companies between who we manage and who we consult for. I've done some training. I am certified by all the companies that I can get certified by in the last couple of years because this is what we do all day, every day. And I'm really focused on how companies can get results using ad platforms because I think it's so powerful when we can figure out how to solve the sales and leads problem that most small businesses have. And today we're just going to be talking about Facebook. So when I say Facebook, that means Instagram, and that means Messenger because these are all owned by Facebook. And the way we're going to kind of walk through this is go through this foundation of, understanding the platform, because I think this is one of the most important things for people who are just at the very beginning and they're getting started is how does the platform work? Then we're going to figure out, we're going to talk about the offer. So a lot of people had questions about the funnel. So we're going to talk about what these funnels look like, the message, which I've got to star here because to me, this is the most important thing. And then we've got the mechanics. So this is just kind of some of the other stuff. And if you're running Facebook ads or you've been doing it and you haven't been successful, it's probably one of these 4 pieces that we need to understand. And a lot of people do this different ways. There are 6 routes to get to the top of Kilimanjaro. There's a lot of ways to get this done. Everyone takes the same picture at the top. So this is my way of doing it, is when we can figure out how to get the right message and your offer in front of the right people with paid ads, I think we can make a big impact on your business. So first, let's talk about Facebook's priorities and the algorithm. So Facebook has 3 priorities, and this is the order that they care about them in. The first one is creating a great user experience on the platform. That's the number one thing they care about because as long as they have people using the platform, they have a business. If that ends, people stop using it, they don't have a business anymore. So that's the first thing. The second thing they care about is not getting sued. So if you've dealt with account disablings or anything like that, you probably did something in the second category because if anyone does anything that could get them in trouble, they just ban you off the platform. And then the third thing is they want advertisers to continue spending money because this is how they make their billions. I don't know if you remember when Zuckerberg was at Congress and they asked him like, how do you make money, right? He was like, we sell ads. This is how they make all their money. So as long as they can keep users on the platform and create a positive experience with ads, they still have customers. As long as they don't get sued, then they're happy to let you keep advertising. And then everything else they do is figuring out how to keep investors spending money on the platform by getting them money back. And this is just learning how to leverage the algorithm to find your target audience. So if you can understand these first 2 priorities, again, like you're not going to deal with account shutdowns, getting banned. It's as easy as that. Like create a good user experience. Don't do anything that's a liability for them. And then if you can understand this last one, then what you're going to be able to do is turn advertising dollars into customers on a consistent basis. Because there are companies out there that are investing millions right now on Facebook ads. And Facebook's investing hundreds of millions of dollars in order to get you connected with the next customer and to keep people clicking on these ads. So this is something that we can tap into, right? Now, Facebook as a whole is really just a giant data aggregation machine. They have, for any one user, they have between 400,000 and 1 million data points on each user profile that's active on the platform. So all the pages that you like on Facebook, that's one data point. Where you've spent time online, that's another data point. Again, they have up to 1 million data points on each user on the platform. So Facebook's keeping track of what you were doing 2 years ago, what pages you and all your friends like on Facebook and Instagram, what kind of pictures you comment and share, what kind of websites you spend the most time on, if you've had any major life events, what kind of mobile devices you've logged in from, what you're buying online. And they're taking all of that data, they're putting it into their algorithm, and they're feeding it to the ad platform. And the number one goal here is serving you more relevant ads. And this is how they're making billions of dollars a year, is just trying to get people the most relevant ads for them in front of them so that people will click on them and they'll be able to continue making this ad revenue. So I think this is a huge opportunity if small businesses can understand how to tap into this and how to work with the algorithm. And this is actually a really big shift. Oh, this is actually, drop my microphone. This is actually a really big shift that we've made in the last 9 months or so with Facebook, because Facebook's always changing, it's always improving. And we've actually, been leaning more into the algorithm, because we used to set up these campaigns where we'd kind of try to fight against Facebook to get the results we want. And now we're leaning in more towards it. So this includes things like using the Facebook pixel. So we want to feed the Facebook pixel as much accurate data as possible. So when we go into a new account, we want to tell Facebook, what are leads? What are people who are completing registration events on the page? Who's adding stuff to the cart? Who's buying? How much are they spending on our website? Because all of this is getting fed into the Facebook algorithm to figure out who are your ideal customers that are spending the most time taking action, and how can we find more people like this. So the pixel's kind of like Facebook's eyeballs on the platform, because everybody's logged into Facebook from their computer or on their phone from one of their apps. And so as users are going out and spending time online, it's figuring out who's browsing on what kind of sites, who's becoming a lead, who's going through the sales process on your site. It's relating that to other similar sites, and it's remembering all of this data point, again, to help you get connected with your next customer. The other way that we can feed Facebook more data is we can also manually upload like customer lists. So we can tell Facebook, hey, these are all my leads that I've got. These are all my customers that I've got. And Facebook can profile those people and help us go find more people like that, which is really powerful. The other way that we can work with the algorithm is when we're setting up campaigns, we want to give the campaign guidance, right? So when we give it guidance, we're telling Facebook, like, what kind of budgets do we want to be spending on this campaign? What are the objectives? Telling Facebook specifically, like, I want to get leads with this. I want to get sales with this. I want to get people to watch this video. We can tell Facebook, hey, these are the geographic areas that my customers come from. These are typically the ages that people come from. And these are the interests that my audience typically tends to have. And again, the changes we've made over the last 9 months is we have really, really big audience sizes in our campaigns now. So we've got audience sizes of 2 million, 3 million, 5 million people, because we're just setting a really wide targeting of, hey, Facebook, these are generally the people that we want to go after. Now you go find people. We're giving the algorithm a little bit more time, a little bit more room to wiggle room, right? And what we're doing is trying to leverage their, billion-dollar machine learning computer by telling it where to go, but then letting it do a lot of the work. Kind of like flying a plane on autopilot, right? You're still in charge of making sure everything's set up correctly. You're pointing in the right direction, but you don't have to make every single decision. It's actually better if you give it a little bit of guidance and let it find the best way there. So we actually had a client that came to us and they were spending about $800 a day promoting their digital products. And they'd been kind of doing this old school way of trying to hack the algorithm by creating dozens of campaigns and having all of these separate interest targeting. And by helping them restructure their campaigns in a way that worked with the Facebook algorithm, we were able to take them from spending $800 a day to $2,000 a day and increase the profitability on their campaigns by just helping kind of restructure how we're working with the algorithm. And then the last thing we can do to work with the algorithm is provide really great socially engaging ads that give Facebook something to optimize for. And we're going to talk about this more in the messaging, because this, I believe, is where most of your focus goes. This is your biggest lever when you're running Facebook ads. This is a real ad that we're running right now that has 420 comments and 216 shares, because it's a very socially engaging ad. And we've been able to get a ton of people engaged with it. Facebook sees that we're getting a lot of positive social engagement, and Facebook goes and optimizes for more people who are engaging like that. So just to recap really quick, like we've talked about what Facebook's priorities are, and we have an idea of how the algorithm works. And we kind of can see how we can work with the machine learning capabilities of the algorithm so that we can feed the algorithm lots of good, accurate data with the pixel and customer lists, kind of give it targeting and work with the algorithm. So now we're going to talk about making an offer and what's a good offer to run on Facebook ads, because this is a key part that's going to determine a lot of your profitability and a lot of your conversions, because you need to have something that people are willing to give you money for, and you need to have a good offer. So a couple of things that we ask ourselves whenever someone comes to us to potentially work with is we want to look at the product and see like, is this unique? Is this something that no one else is selling? Does it solve a real problem for a specific group of people? And do we have a story that stands out? Are there users that are using this and loving this? Are there experts that recommend it? Has this changed some lives already? Because this lets us know if we can create a unique marketing message that will actually stand out and not just kind of blend in with all the other products that everyone's selling. And then the last most important one here is like, do the numbers add up? And I'll show you what I mean by this, but like, this is something that a lot of people miss doing that's so important, is just figuring out if the numbers add up, that this could be profitable. So someone had asked like a couple of different types of campaigns that we've seen and that we've ran. So this is a really popular one from Digital Marketer. It's the Tripwire funnel, right? Where you drive an ad to a free thing, and then after the free thing, you offer like a low ticket product. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of this style of funnel for a few reasons. Depending on your market and what your metrics look like, this could work. But we'll talk about the numbers in a second. But when you're driving traffic to a funnel like this, you have to be driving so much traffic to make this profitable. So if you're a big company like Digital Marketing, you have a big budget and you can make a lot of money on the back end, this is great. But a lot of small companies, they need cash right now. And driving traffic to a free thing to then hopefully get a percentage of those people to buy something after that, and then following up via email, once you do the numbers, it's really hard to make that work. So again, depending on what kind of market you're in, this could work, but I'm going to show you some other funnels that I'm more excited about. So this is a really good one, which is a direct to a low ticket offer funnel. So this is where you just run an ad straight to something that costs between, $2.99, $4.99, up to, $39, maybe $50, right? So it's just going straight to a low ticket offer. And the secret to these funnels is the total cart value at the end. So this product in specifically, we're selling a $4.99 product, but the average cart value is more around like $47, because you can buy the book, you can get the upgrades that comes with like a free, like a free bonus package, video upgrade. Then you can get a course that shows you how to implement everything from the book. And then you could even get like a one-on-one consulting call at the very end. And so a percentage of people take each one of these upsells. And so when we're selling a $4.99 book, we're actually getting more money on the back end. So we're able to spend like $20 to get someone to buy this $4.99 book because our average cart value is higher. And so this is a really good type of funnel to run on Facebook ads. If you have like a low ticket product and you can put some bundles in together, this is a great one to do. Like we even recently looked at one of these that was selling a $7 book and had a $9.97 upsell in the courses. And like as an upsell was a course as an upsell. So again, these are really good funnels. But you should know, like when you see someone running ads to a low ticket product, it's probably because they're pushing a lot of money on the back end through upsells. Now, this funnel is my favorite to work with, which is a webinar funnel. If you have a high ticket product that you can sell on a webinar, we've had massive success with these. So it's running an ad, sign up for a webinar, they attend the webinar, they get good bit of content, and then at the very end, they get an offer to buy a product, $4.97, $9.97, $19.97. These work great. The challenge a lot of people have with these is getting the webinar to convert. It definitely takes a lot of work. But if you can get a webinar to convert like this is where we've had the most success scaling courses that are, anything under $2,000, we've been able to sell just straight off a webinar, cold traffic, get them signed up, and sell our digital products. Some people had asked about doing this for service providers, or if you're just getting started, definitely you can run Facebook ads to just schedule consultations. So this is actually a funnel that we run where we just run people straight to a consultation or a demo. And we have one client that does this, and the metric that we're looking at is how much does it cost us to book a call with someone on their sales team. And we're spending about $50 for every phone call that we're getting with a sales team member, and we're selling them a $550 recurring each month software. So these definitely work. And again, a lot of this is going to come down to messaging that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So um, there's a lot of different kind of funnels, you guys. Like quiz funnels is something that's really popular, asking people to do a quiz. Some people do summits. We've had really good success with summits and launches and different stuff. I personally prefer evergreen funnels. I think they're the best way to go. If you can get like an evergreen webinar up, that to me is like the golden spot to sell courses, because again, it takes a lot of work to get it going, but once you get it going, it can be massively successful. And we've had one webinar funnel that we've been running for over 3 years, the exact same webinar. It continues to convert and bring in customers at a profit. So I'm gonna drink some water here, one sec. So yeah, you guys, the secret to success with all of this is you got to know your numbers. This is the key to all these different types of funnels, is what do the numbers look like? So we know that if we spend $10,000 on this ad, based on the conversion metrics, we're going to spend about $7 to get someone to sign up for the webinar. But for every person that signs up for the webinar, we're going to earn about $21. And so we know exactly what these metrics are because we've mapped it out and we've ran the traffic. So we're hyper aware of exactly what we can afford to spend. And the key is, if you can't get it to work on paper, it's not going to work in real life. And I can tell you this with 100% certainty. Like if it doesn't work on paper, it's not just going to magically start working when you start running Facebook ads. And this is what you'll see, because I've talked to a lot of people who want to run traffic. They're a small business. They don't have a list. They're just getting started and they want to run ads to a tripwire funnel or either want to run ads to an email funnel, where they're going to generate leads and then they're going to send people 6 emails. And with a 20% open rate, at the very end, the 5th email is going to go to a sales page and people are going to buy. And if you just do that math on paper, it's really hard to make that profitable. So I don't know how well you can see this, but this is just this is an example. This is a calculator that we put for a webinar funnel where we run one of these every time before we start. And we look at what our real costs are and what are the healthy margins that we need to run our business. And then we just math all of this out. So, if you just look here at the top right, like the green boxes is our numbers and the blue boxes are our variables. So, if we put $10,000 in, we're paying $2 a click because it's expensive, but we've got a 25% opt-in rate, then we're going to be paying $8 a lead. And then if we've got a 35% show up rate, we know exactly what we're going to be paying to get people to show up to the webinar, and we're going to know exactly what we're paying to get people to buy. And what we walk away with is like, okay, so if we just looked at that funnel right there, what we would be looking at is we'd be converting 3.6% of the people who opt into this funnel to a sale. And that's kind of the number that we need to know, is because now what we can do is come here and like look at the bottom part here is like, okay, well, what number do we need to be at? If you see down at the bottom here, it's like step 1, look at our expenses. Like, what are our ads? What other expenses do we have? Like you're spending money on something. And then figure out how much revenue do you want? What kind of margins do you need to have a healthy business? And then, look at your conversion rate. So in this example, we can see here, at the very bottom, conversion rate. This is the desired conversion rate that we want. These are the numbers that we need to hit. So if we can get our funnel converting this rate, then we are going to have a healthy funnel. And if we don't, we're going to suffer, right? But once we do this, we can figure out exactly where we need to be. And if we start running stuff in real life and we see different numbers, we can recalculate and figure out, are we going to be profitable with this? And are we going to be able to run a healthy business? So again, someone had asked like if it was generally more effective to collect email addresses, like sign up for this free stuff, or go directly to a sale. The answer is like, you need to know what your numbers are, and it depends on what your price point is. If you're selling less than $50, like you can just run direct to a sale. You've just got to build the desire on the ad and the sales page to get you there. And if you want to run people through like an email funnel, I think that's a lot more challenging. I would say anything under $50, people typically go like direct to a product. And then when you're looking at courses that are at the $500 to $2,000 range, you run them to a webinar. So here's the magic number, right? It's like, you got to make sure that your earnings per lead is greater than your cost per lead. So if you know what your cost per leads are and you know how much you're making per lead, as long as you're making more per lead than you're spending per lead, you're in a good spot here. And I know it's there's a little more to it than that, but that's kind of the big thing you want to look at is just as you're running this funnel, what are you paying to get someone started, and how much are you earning for every person that you get in the funnel? So the other really important thing to do is to know what your real numbers are. So you want to use some basic napkin math to just know what you need to hit using the kind of like a spreadsheet that I just showed you. And then you need to have a tracking solution to measure the real results of your campaign. So Chris, one person had asked, like, how do you tie all this in together? Facebook, Google, all that stuff. And the answer is you need to have a tracking system like this, usually Google Analytics, that ties everything together, because Facebook pixels and ad platforms, they all report differently. And Facebook's going to have one way of reporting things. Google Ads is going to have another way of reporting things. So what we typically end up doing, is having, we know what our actual tracking sources is. So like Facebook is the best place to see where we're spending money. Our CRM is the best place to see how many leads we're getting. And our cart is the best place to see how much money we're making. So we pull those numbers to look at what our real data is. We build a nice spreadsheet. We automate all of it so that we can see what our real numbers are and have a tracking solution that reports us what's actually going on. And the truth is, like, there's no 100% accurate tracking platform out there until you go to the source to get everything and put it all together. So we actually had a client that was spending about $2,000 a month on Facebook ads. And they knew that they were getting sales, but they didn't want to spend any more than that because they just didn't know what was happening with their money. Like, they knew they were putting money into ads and they knew they were getting sales, but they didn't know if it was from the ads or what was going on. So we walked them through this process where we set up all the tracking, we helped them understand their numbers, and we took them from spending $2,000 a month to spending $10,000 a month, keeping the same profitability numbers, but 5xing the amount of customers they were getting every month, because now they had a confident system that they could go through to invest in the ads. So again, just kind of recapping, we talked about what Facebook's priorities are and how the algorithm works. We talked about what kind of offers work on Facebook, how to figure out what numbers you need to hit to be profitable, and how to put a tracking system in place so that you can measure those numbers and keep learning, because you're buying data as you go through, we'll talk about. Now let's talk about the most important part, right? And when it comes to running ad campaigns, this is your biggest lever, because the offer is going to determine a lot about your profitability, because you need to have a solid offer that people want. And a great offer will make up for a lot of terrible other things. But when we're talking about ad platforms and what you're doing on the ad campaigns, your ad is your biggest lever. So keep in mind, creating a winning marketing campaign is not an event, it's a process. And this is what's kind of fun about it, is like, it's an art and a science. And 20% of the time you're going to home run right out the gate, but the rest of the time it's really a process of testing and iterations. And if you have that understanding about your messaging and about your campaigns, you get into a really good position. So to craft a really good campaign, this is something that I got from Dan Kennedy, if you guys study direct response marketing at all, but he talks about this marketing triangle for a successful campaign. But we're running Facebook ads. You see here, like, markets on the right, who are we marketing to, the message on the left, media is on the bottom. The cool thing is, when we're on Facebook, we already know what our media is. Like, we already know we're marketing Facebook ads, so we don't even have to worry about that. We know who our ideal customer is because we're already selling our product. Usually, people are most businesses are selling their product naturally on their website. They've got some organic traffic, all this stuff. Now we just need to figure out what's the winning message so that we can start scaling this thing with Facebook ads. So we get crystal clear about who our customer is. We know what they're struggling with, and we have a unique solution so that we can get to them. So now what we just need to do is develop that winning message. And if you'll understand that you're advertising on a social platform, this is going to help you a lot, because what we want to do is we want to avoid a lot of this traditional direct response clickbait stuff. And we just tell a lot of stories that engage users at where they are kind of on the awareness level, what stage they're at in the buying cycle, whether this is a cold traffic ad or a retargeting ad. And then we just talk with them about their current problems and their ideal solution. We end up with ads like this. You can see, again, this is an ad where we've gotten 17,000 shares and 339 comments, because this is a socially engaging ad that's telling a story and then leading people to a webinar sign up that we have. And what we end up with are ads that look like this, right? These are long form ads that we're running on Facebook in a social platform, versus what a lot of people try to do, which is run ads like this. Because this is a huge mistake I see a lot of people make, is they try to copy these big brands or these e-commerce tactics, But people don't buy a course or a training program for the same reason they buy skincare products and electronics. So if you understand the psychology of why people will buy products like this, what you end up with is these long form ads instead of these short ones. And someone asked, like, if they're in a niche with a lot of people seeking free content, or they're unable to afford low price info products, so how can they get people who are geared towards investing in their course? This is it. Like, this right here is where you start an ad that's pre-framing people into who you want to be attracting, because you want to speak to your ideal person in this ad right here and kind of repel away the people who aren't interested in the solution that you have. Because this is kind of the goal here, is like, your goal should not only be getting people to click on it, but it should be pre-framing and pre-qualifying and pre-selling the right person who is your ideal customer to click on your ad. You don't want to just get as many people clicking on your ad as possible. You want to get the right people clicking on your ad as possible. And we've got a client who's spending $40,000 a month on one ad. They have one really killer ad, and they're spending $40,000 a month with just one cold traffic ad, because that's what happens when you get the right message up in front of the right people. So if my main focus on winning campaign, and this is what we focus a lot on with new customers, is once you're getting started, you just want to come up with 2 or 3 different ads that speak to your ideal customer. And we usually kind of take this approach, is like, we want to get an ad that speaks to a couple of different types of people. One that's more about emotions and storytelling, one that's a little bit more logical, and one that's kind of getting people who are fast action takers, because people kind of buy for different reasons. We get these ads up, and then we start testing. And so again, like, this is the big leverage point that I think we have as advertisers. The last thing we're going to talk about here is launching a winning campaign. So this is all just the mechanics. Like, we've talked about Facebook's priorities are, what kind of offers work, the numbers you need, and how to create socially engaging ads. But if you've never run Facebook ads, it might kind of feel like this when you get started. There's a lot of buttons to push, and you're not sure what all the knobs and levers mean. But once you know where all the buttons are and you know how to take off, it's really just about, again, it becomes this vehicle to get you and your message in front of where you want it to be. And a lot of this is, again, like, just knowing what these buttons are to push and where you want to be. But it's a checklist you could follow. Like, inside my agency, we just have a checklist of, hey, these are the things that you need to know how to do. We've got some training videos on how to do it. And just like learning how to fly a plane, right, you need to know kind of what all the knobs and levers mean and how to keep it running. But this is something that you can figure out. The mechanics, I think, are the easiest part. And I really believe, like, we're all very competent, online business people. So if you can figure out how to, like, log into Facebook and go into a group and make a post, you can figure out how to log into Facebook ads, click create a campaign, and follow the checklist to get it done. Or you can teach someone on your team how to do this, because remember, the most important part is everything we did before this, which is coming up with a winning message and having a good offer. But once we get to this stage, it's just the mechanics. It's just knowing what buttons to push. What do these knobs and levers mean? That's really it. So if we're rolling out a new campaign, like, we know who our ideal customer is. We've got these big messages we want to test. We already know what numbers we need to hit to be successful. So we're looking at, like, what our benchmarks are. We know how to tell Facebook exactly what we're looking for, because we started feeding it data from the very beginning. And then we just start a simple campaign where we go through the targeting options that they have available, and we test one of our ads against the other one of our ads. And there's only, like, 3 kind of buckets of traffic available. There's warm traffic, which is like people who already know you. So these are people who already engaged with your brand, people who visited your website since you put your Facebook pixel on there ready, people who are on your email list because we uploaded your email list, remember, in that first step, people who have engaged with you on social media. And these are people who are typically going to buy from you the most. And then we've got interest targeting. So again, this is one of the powers of Facebook, is, like, we can go on there and we know who our ideal customer is. We know what brands they follow. So if we're doing, like, a music product, we know they love Johnson's killer guitar pedals and Tony the music trainer and Audio Beats, the editing software, and this Listen by Ear trading company. I just made all those up. But, we know this, right, about our customers. So we can set these up and say, again, Facebook, here's our kind of general audience. We have these big audiences, but go find people like this and get them on my socially engaging ad. And then this is one of the coolest parts that I think everyone needs to tap into, is lookalike audiences, because this is one of the best ways to find people who are interested in your company. Is you can upload a list of your existing customers and build an audience from your Facebook pixel, and then tell Facebook, hey, go find me more people like this. And it's really like, I mean, it's like this, it's like a hound dog, right? It's like, you're just telling Facebook, hey, these are my best customers. And we can upload lists of past customers, your email list, people who are engaging with you on social media, people who find you through Google. If you're making a bunch of content and you're getting a bunch of organic traffic, you can tell Facebook, hey, Facebook, go find me more people like all these people who are finding me already on Google. And as long as you're creating a positive user experience, then they want to help you go find more people like this. And so if you've kind of followed through this part of the process, this is the work that a lot of people will not do, because most people will log into the platform, set up one ad, maybe two ads, and kind of generally guess at their targeting, and then that's it. We look at a bunch of accounts. People don't even have their Facebook pixel set up. They have one ad, they have one targeting. They're not telling Facebook what conversion event they want. They're just optimizing for people to click on their ad, but they're not telling Facebook, hey, I want leads or I want sales. And so if you'll kind of do everything that we just talked about here in this last 30 minutes, this is a lot of the work that most people won't do. And so once we get there, now it's just testing. We just need to test. And we want to start simple. So, we can set up a campaign for each one of these kind of audiences that we talked about, where we want to test our 2 ads against our warm traffic. We want to test our 2 ads with some of these interest targeting that we know is our core audience. And we want to test our 2 ads with these lookalike audiences that Facebook can build from us based on our audience data. And the kind of pro mindset here is we're just collecting data on what works. Again, we're not trying to hit a home run right out the gate. We just want to know how well this message is resonating with this audience that we picked out. And we just want to see, again, which audiences and which messages give us that desired outcome with the KPI that we already did on paper. So we already know, like, hey, we're willing to pay, we can afford to spend $7 a lead if our funnel's converting at 2.5%, which it has been so far. So as long as we're getting leads for $7, we're converting at 2.5%, we're good. And it's just kind of a process of elimination where, like, hey, these ads are working. These ads are giving us the ones with the KPI. These ones are not. And there's only 3 things that can happen at this stage. It's either going to totally bomb, it's going to be within KPI, or it's going to be kind of somewhere in between, close to being within KPI, but not quite there. In which case, if it totally bombs, you just kill it. If it's within KPI, you've got a profitable ad, and now you're good to go. Now you're ready to start spending more money on that ad. And if it's somewhere in between, if it's kind of a little bit off, like 20, 30% off, you can iterate a bit. You can kind of see how you can change the messaging a little bit to make it within KPI. So you can kind of change a little bit the story you're telling to make it a little more engaging to get it within KPI. And long term, we just want to keep doing this over and over so that we're doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. And so again, remember, like what we talked about, creating a winning marketing campaign is not an event, it's a process. But in the long run, what we're focused on here is we're trying to optimize our ads, and what I've got here, creatives. We're trying to optimize our ads to keep our costs down, and we're trying to optimize our funnel on the back end to get our earnings to go up. And we want to make more money on the back end, keep our costs down on the front end. But this is what I think for most people who sell digital products, especially if you're selling a digital product organically already, or you already have a customer base, with the right offer and a few killer ads and some good targeting, you could be spending $10,000 a month and getting sales. You don't need to run perfect campaigns to get started. You just need a really compelling offer with the right message and leverage Facebook to get in front of the right people. After $10,000 a month, like, there can be some mechanics that come into place that you might want to see about, some different ways to do things. But if you're not finding success, it's really just this, getting the right message in front of the right person with the right offer. And you can find success. So what I hope that I have shown you here is, like, there's a lot of opportunity if you can connect your business with ideal customers through paid ads. And once you understand how this platform works and what you need to be focused on, it really just becomes a vehicle for you to get your message in front of the right person. And there's a process for rolling out these winning ad campaigns where you as a business owner can focus on crafting a message so good that your customers have to pay attention. And I really think this is worth doing for most businesses. A lot of businesses look like this, where they have one source of customers. Maybe that's Google organic traffic. Maybe they're doing cold email, whatever it is, but they're operating like this. And we've seen this time and time again. You're like one big algorithm update or one big platform update from getting wiped out. And so if you're already getting sales on a different platform, this is a much smarter way to operate your business because you've already got the messaging that works. You already know what kind of customers you want to attract. It's really just about rolling up your sleeves and getting the work to happen, right? So that you can develop out these different channels and have different places that you can acquire customers. So those are kind of my 4 big levels. We've made it up to the top of the mountain. Now we can celebrate. We talked about these 4 things. And that's the end of my presentation here, which is right at like the 40-minute mark. So my timing was pretty good on that one. That's all I've got to teach you guys. So what's next on this? You guys can, one thing I think it's just, as a business owner, you can just decide that this channel is not for you to pursue right now. This shouldn't be pursued lightly because just like you are going to develop any other marketing channel, it takes real work, right? Like you've got to invest time, you've got to invest energy, you've got to invest money. You've got to be dedicated to making this work. But hopefully, again, what I've showed you is like, this can work. If you think your customers spend time on social media, Facebook and Instagram, this can work for you. It's just about using Facebook ads as a vehicle to go and find your right customers. You can have agencies like ours do this for you, or you can build this machine internally for your business. I did just want to say, so we're going to be rolling out a program to show business owners how to develop this system internally for their own business. So we're going to have trainings, access, support, all of this stuff. But like I will just be totally like, we haven't launched this yet. We've got the agency going really well. We know the process to roll this stuff out. And I would love to talk with business owners who are interested in doing this for their business at any level. Because I just want to hear like, what's holding you back? What are you interested in doing this? What do you need to be successful at this? And get feedback and have a conversation. So if you want to spend 30 minutes on the phone, I would love to see where I could help you guys out. Even if that's just helping you kind of get over what roadblocks you've got now. And if this does sound like a program you'd be interested in and something you would be interested in doing, I'd love to talk with you about what that could look like. So all you could do is just go here to majorimpactmedia.com/chat and set up a call with me, and we can jump on the call. It's not even a sales call. It's really just figuring out like, what is it that you're looking for to be able to be successful with Facebook ads, and how could you as a business owner get that done, and how could we potentially help you? So I tried to give a ton of value here. I don't want to hard pitch anybody anything, but I would love to have conversations with people that are interested in something like this, because we want to make this program really good. And right now at this stage, up until now, we've only had our retainer clients, and we want to start being able to help people and provide more value in different ways. So that's all I've got, you guys. Now it's Q&A time. So if you have any questions about all of this, I've got a few written down here that people had asked me from the call before. All right, let's talk questions. Yes, thanks for hanging out this whole time. I appreciate it. Cool. So, questions. You don't have much of an email list or a converting funnel, but you have a course already and you're working on making it better to relaunch. Strategies as a starting point, anything you do to be prepared for running ads. Yeah, so I think that if you're just getting started, really the best way that I have found to sell this kind of stuff is actually kind of like what you're seeing me do now. So doing a training and then getting on the phone with people who are interested and just figuring out what it is that they want from a course like what you're doing. Because Dana, I'm pretty sure you're in like the LinkedIn world. So this is one of the best tips I've ever gotten when it comes to webinar trainings is like, do a live webinar, do this every single week or every other week as much as you can, and just try to get on the phone with people. Because a lot of people try to automate webinars really early. They want to just do an automated recording webinar, call it a day, and that's it. But what you can do is there we go. Now you don't have the end of the screen. Well, I think what's much better is do a live webinar, get on the phone with people and see what they're looking for. What are their objections? What do they want out of the course? What are they trying to accomplish? Because all that language becomes something that you build back into the next webinar. And what you do is you just keep working on your webinar until your webinar is converting at a really high percentage. If you can convert 2 to 4% of the people who come on a webinar, depending on what your price point is, then you're in a really good place to start trying to automate it with something like an autoplay webinar. But yeah, if you're selling like a course on LinkedIn, what I would suggest doing is do a training, kind of like what you just, what we just did here, get people on the phone and then talk with them about what they're looking for, what their objections are, what their ultimate goals are that they want to accomplish. And then after you do that for, it's going to take a few times, maybe a couple of months to really dial it in. But then once you've got it consistently working, you can automate that webinar and start really scaling it with Facebook ads. I think most of the people that I know that are running webinars, at scale are on version 4, version 5. So that's my answer for you, Data. And again, if you want to chat about this anymore, I'm happy to jump on a call and we can just talk through it. And then one more question here. Peter, you're working with the zoo and you're thinking about offering, think of the offer when working with the same audience. Yeah, if you've got a really small audience, especially for local businesses, I think that the thing to do is kind of have a few different ways for people to enter the product. So when you're working with a really small audience, like I used to do work with gyms and real estate agents. And what we would have is just a few different campaigns that were running on the front end that people would see come through the funnel to become a lead, sign up. And when that would kind of slowly stop working, then what we would do is just rotate in the other one. And that would work for a few weeks or a few months. And then it would slowly stop working. And we just rotate back in the old one because people forget pretty quickly what they see, but they're just kind of keeping it fresh. You're keeping it fresh from an advertising perspective. And yeah, people, if they haven't seen it in a couple of weeks, they'll just forget and then they'll come back through. And now we've always got something kind of fresh out in the marketplace. But it's not, what am I trying to say? You're not getting stale in the marketplace, but we just rotate through a few offers. You get 3 that are working really well and you can rotate through them every couple of weeks. That's that there. And then, yeah, a couple other questions that people had asked. What's the ideal, this was one from the thread. What was the ideal ratio of paid to free content? So how much of the program content is secret tips and hacks? So this is kind of more on creating the course itself. But man, really, I think your free content should be valuable, but having valuable content does not mean you're showing everybody how to do stuff. Having valuable content can be teaching people how to think about things. Having valuable content can be about explaining to people how this new thing works, whatever it is that you're doing. It can be giving them the right ideas about how to go into whatever it is you're trying to show them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be showing them how to do stuff. And then in the course, you're showing people a lot of how to do the stuff, right? So, and also a big part of courses is you're packaging together your knowledge in a way that is easy to consume, easy to digest, and helpful for them. Because people that buy, $500,000 courses are typically people who have less time and want to get results. If someone was really motivated and had all the time in the world, you can pretty much go on YouTube and learn anything. But if you're helping someone who's looking to get better results faster and you have that kind of support, that's what makes it more valuable. And so I hope that answers the question of what's the ideal free to content? You want to have a lot of good content out there, but your content doesn't have to be how-to content. And in the program is when you're showing people your specific way of getting in there. Another question. So doing a webinar funnel, daily, monthly spend to get enough data, tell if it's working. Yeah. So Nathan, if you are running ads to a new funnel, I always say if I'm going to put an ad out there, I should be willing to spend $100 or $200 to figure out if that ad's going to work. And oftentimes what you'll find is you'll put 4 ads out there and one of them might start actually getting clicks because you're actually getting people engaged and that ad is starting to work. And then you're dealing with getting people to the webinar landing page. And the number that I look for there is how could we get 50 or 100 people to sign up to figure out what our cost per lead is on how well our webinar page is converting there. So I think if you're starting with a brand new funnel, you can test small. So again, like $100, $200 on an ad. Pick your, again, start simple, like pick your best audiences that you think will work, who you think is the most in touch with your core audience, and test, one or 200 bucks on those ads. And then um, I would be, but if you're going to try to get a new funnel up, I think you're going to end up spending, probably 2,000 bucks before you're going to really get it going. But again, in small increments, and maybe you hit a home run right out the gate. But I think that, again, I have gone through this process myself, and I think I spent about $1,000 testing different ads with different landing pages. Because at first I couldn't get people to click on my ads. Then I couldn't get people to opt into my landing page. And about version 3, after I had spent about $800, I started getting people to sign up for the webinar, and I started selling off the webinar. And yeah, that's how it worked for me the last time I did it from scratch. Yeah, how do you establish proof of product? I think that's it. So you guys, I think that's it for all the questions, unless anyone has any more questions. Awesome. I'm super glad you guys like this. Thanks so much. Again, if anyone wants to chat about this, I'm more than happy to hop on the phone, talk more about how this works in your situation. And I would love you guys' feedback on what you guys thought about this. And, as a business owner, what you would be looking for to make the commitment to getting something like this up. Because again, being an advertising guy, I think advertising is super powerful, especially if you've already got organic traffic, you've already got an audience built up, and you're ready to kind of add some fuel to that fire. I think paid traffic is a great way to go, and would love to help you guys get it going. So that's all I got. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys in the DC. So later.